Hi. So I wrote a blog post, but nobody reads, so I'm gonna read it to you. This is I've been performing a lot lately, and this is kind of the stuff that's been coming out as a result. So yeah. Rewind. It's this morning at 3 a.m. Before the afternoon breakfast, before the 12-minute yoga lesson you've done 100 times, just before the deep sleep of a post-show come-down. I punched the code to my door and let myself in, dropped all my gear, kicked off my shoes and hit the dim lights. No point in waking up further. There's been enough excitement for one night. Even at this basic, unglamorous level, performing can be exhausting, but the satisfaction I get from dropping my bags in this fashion at the end of every mission makes me feel warm. There's a certain charm to dumping your stuff recklessly on the floor, a certain liberty that you've earned the right to do so at the end of a frenetic evening of what can only be called face. Having face is more than just pretending to be a socialist violinist called Jovan Bartman. It's possessing the learned skill of embodying the show, of playing music with your whole heart for people you may or may not know, may or may never see again, and still wishing you had more than 100% to give. Not just on the performance area, it's not always the stage, but from the moment that you walk in the door. It's a presence, it's a vibe, it's something attractive yet commonplace. From the moment you catch your first pair of eyes, it's on. You present yourself, the character you've created, and this often means hiding in plain sight. When you present face in this way, you're expected to have charisma. You're expected to be amicable enough to entertain the passing whims of everyone in the room, but to have the dignity to mercifully subdue subtle demands on your energy. Folks breathe in your face. You're a card. You hear a lot of apologetic stories from strangers who quit playing an instrument years ago for one or other reason. You compare yourself to the other musicians. People are drunk, although I seldom am. It's a terrifying waste of my limited resources. And face enables you to be on their level of ridiculousness, regardless of how sincerely you feel that way. So I buttoned up my waistcoat, played last night at Bar Carmen, their closing party. That place was something special. Incidentally, it's the second place I've held a residency, which has subsequently closed down, which makes me dryly consider the emerging pattern. I was complimented on my energy. The energy. It's my most reliable friend. It completely vanquishes nervousness and uncertainty within the first few beats. It overrides technical inadequacy. It's abundant, and it's always there when I need it. It's like dipping my hand into beach sand and letting full handfuls run out. And the time I find myself most pensively wondering about where this energy comes from is often directly after a show. Like now, for example. I just finished a proper showcase event alongside 20 other performers. It was the first time I've played to a seated audience, and the first time I've played to a Korean audience, and it was probably also the first time I've played to a completely sober audience. It was also blessed by proper sound, proper lighting, stage equipment, which felt good, although I did leave the stage while playing during the set just to be among the people. It never really feels right being on a stage. So there's a list of live performance places that I've played as Pravda 23, but I'm not going to read those to you. These days the drive to continue widening my net for new experiences is growing with every new performance, and I feel adamant that at no stage will I ever long to stop. I absorb every new fling with my future like a sponge, heavily drinking in the sights and sounds along the way. Learning, but too slow. I want more than anything for this life to be my profession, my daily adventure. Currently I'm studying Bach's Concerto in D minor on the violin, preparing a live looping acoustic guitar set for an upcoming festival, and producing a new electro swing track. So I didn't know how to do any of this stuff 5 years ago, when I was 25. So I yearn for the challenge of a new adventure, a new audience, a new client, a new publicity agenda. I'm dying to belong to the age-old community of showfolk, the magicians of our imagination, the whole bang shoot. And why? Why the demand for such a demanding life? I have no illusions about the level of face and of exhausting social interaction that this career will require. There's no end to the number of fickle 18-year-olds, non-paying charity events and competition bands that will come my way. There's no certainty that I will be able to make a living out of this. There's no telling how I'll react when forced to compromise on these wonderful creations. But I have strange faith And I only call it that because, objectively speaking, there's no reason for me to believe in myself like I do. The same people who tell me how amazing my shows are thinking the same about anyone who ignites their emotions and heightens their sense of being in the moment. At the day's end, it's about making music that musicians enjoy. At this point, I'd love to answer the question of where the energy comes from, but I don't know. One person will wake up in the morning and have nothing to do but sit around and think about how they wish their life was different. Someone else will throw themselves headfirst into an essentially vain pursuit. I don't always make the decisions about which one I am. I'd love to say it's from God, it's from my friends, it's from my loved ones, this energy, it's from my self-respect or whatever, but the truth is that I just don't know. I only feel certain about two things, that this energy is from somewhere else and that it never runs out. I'm sometimes overwhelmingly enthusiastic about the possibility that I can play the more diverse styles of music for greater numbers, for wider audiences in more places in the world. The only thing that this is all riding on is the idea in my mind that I somehow have a duty to perform regardless of the cost of my finances and energy, which are still quite large. It's a strange sense that I'm obliged to continue putting on face and showing people the meaning of clean fun, and to remind folks about the power every person has to slip into the driving seat of their own life. If the word enthusiasm means full of God, then I ask that I will be able to continue this fairly ordinary journey dutifully. The end.